This video is about the use of Ouija boards, which supposes that the board enables spirits to communicate to us. A form of Ouija boards was introduced in China around 1100 AD. When the emperor of the Qing dynasty learned about the boards and how dangerous they were, he banned their use. The Catholic Church has historically condemned the use of Ouija boards. Their use seems to be superstitious. St. Thomas Aquinas wrote, "Superstition is a vice contrary to religion by excess, not that it offers more than the divine worship than true religion, but because it offers divine worship either to whom it ought not, or in a matter it ought not." St. Thomas added, "Divinations and certain observances come under the head of superstition, insofar as they depend on certain actions of the demons, and thus they pertain to compacts made with them." The interest in Spiritism increased in the early 1900s. In response, the Congregation of the Holy Office issued a decree on April 24th of 1917. It said that attendance is forbidden at any spiritual communications or manifestations whatsoever, irrespective of the purpose in view, whether in the capacity of an active participator or merely as an interested spectator. Unfortunately, the interest in Spiritism and divination continued. This Q&A from the Catholic Advance in April of 1932 says that Ouija boards are considered, along with other practices, as a form of divination. As you recall, we just read St. Thomas's condemnation of divination. This Q&A concludes that the listed practices, which include the use of Ouija boards, are wrong and they are a sin against religion. And here's another Q&A from the same publication 7 months later. Question: is it wrong to use a planchette or a Ouija board? Answer: the Church has more than once condemned their use as they are practices of Spiritism. Catholic parents should not make the mistake to buy or use these things for their children under the guise of toys with the idea that they are toys. The Catholic Advance addressed this issue again 5 years later. Does the Church condemn Spiritism? Answer: the Church does condemn Spiritism as dangerous to the faith and morals. Any attempted communications with spirits, whether good or bad by means of seances, table tapping, the Ouija board, etc., is strictly forbidden. But something changed with the Second World War. As I've mentioned numerous times on this channel, the time following the war was a period of gradualism. Men came home from the war and there was a new material prosperity, and with that came materialism and secularism. Opinions in society changed, and you can see a subtle change here where the Catholic Advance once again addressed the issue of Ouija boards in 1958. To use the Ouija board through ignorance or without serious intention does not exceed a venial sin, and might even be sinless, but one who realizes the moral implications and insists on relying on the Ouija board for occult information cannot be excused from serious sin. So here we see a subtle departure from past answers in the same publication. Here the priest gives his opinion that the use of relying on Ouija boards through ignorance or without serious intention just might be sinless. And then came the Second Vatican Council, and all hell broke loose. The Catholic Advance entertained this issue once again in 1962 during the preparation phase of the council. Question: can a Ouija board ever lawfully be used for recreation? The Q&A concludes that it is not sinful to use a Ouija board as a plaything if one believes that its message is produced merely by the unconscious movements of one operating it. It is sinful if one takes the answer seriously and superstitiously consults the board as he would a fortune teller. So here in 1962, the Catholic Advance says that it is not sinful to use the Ouija board if it's used as just a plaything. 2 years later, during the council, the Catholic Missourian took up the same issue. Question: should a Catholic use a Ouija board? Answer: as a conversation piece or as a relic of ancient superstition, it might have a legitimate use. If you are qualified, you might use it for experiments in parapsychology. But to use it to foretell the future, don't be ridiculous. So, suddenly the Ouija board might have a legitimate use, and a person might even use it for experiments in parapsychology. And if a person is using it to try to tell the future, the Catholic Missourian doesn't call it gravefully sinful, it calls it merely ridiculous. So, the moral of this story is that the traditional faith tells us that the use of Ouija boards is a sin against religion. And if you want to truly learn the authentic Catholic faith, you need to look to traditional Catholic sources. Otherwise, you're going to get all sorts of conflicting information. Well, I hope you enjoyed this video. I'll be back again within a week with another one. But in the meantime, please check out my Facebook page and my Twitter page. Every day I post additional content that you won't find on this YouTube channel. And also, please pray for the church.